Cool. We are now live. We'll get this started in about 3 minutes. It's now midday here on the East Coast, so we'll start the kickoff for 11.3, which in all probability is going to be the best release ever. We're live streaming on YouTube, so please ask your questions in the chat, and we'll try to answer them and keep an eye on them as we go. Victor is on vacation, so I will be presenting the plan features for 11.3. So I'll just share my screen so I can give you a taste of what is to come. Here we go. All right. So first up, we have a wonderful improvement to quick actions for issues. So we have this great feature called quick actions that makes it easy to apply labels, update milestones, and assign people to issues and merge requests. You can now assign an issue to an epic using the new epic and remove epic quick action. So this improvement will be really useful for me and anyone else who makes use of epics, so that you can more efficiently manage how issues and epics work together. Next up, we have some more improvements to milestones and epics and how they work together. When you add lots of issues to an epic, often they'll be part of multiple milestones, and you want to see when that epic is going to be completed. So if I've got one issue that's going to be done at the end of this month, and the second phase is going to be done the following month, it'd be really great if the epic could automatically detect the end date for these issues based on the milestones assigned. And coming in 11.3 is going to be this new option in the epic to select whether you want a fixed end date for your epic or whether you want to automatically derive it from the milestones on the issues. So this is going to be a really great improvement, and it'll reflect into the roadmap view. And for those who aren't familiar with the roadmap view, it looks something like this. So the end dates and start dates, once this feature ships, will automatically adapt to this change. So these three features that I've just shared relate to epics, which is an ultimate feature. So they'll be shipping in the ultimate edition of GitLab. Next up is batch comments on merge requests. So this is a feature we've been working on for quite a while, and I'm very excited about. And it makes code reviews much easier because you'll be able to leave multiple comments and then submit them in a batch. So this way, if you're reviewing a large set of changes, you might come across something that doesn't make sense, and you start to add a comment, but then a couple of lines down, you read a few other things, and all of a sudden, the comment a few lines above doesn't make sense. The question's been answered by reading further through the merge request. So this makes it easy to not add the comment that's irrelevant, and also, I guess, review all your comments before you submit them, so they're more cohesive and make more sense. And so this is a screenshot of what it's going to look like. There's going to be a new Start Review button, and you'll also be able to continue to add a comment immediately, as is already supported. So this will be a great feature. It's coming to Premium Edition, I think. Yes, Premium Edition. And finally, we've got some great improvements coming to the merge request list row design. So when you're viewing lists of merge requests, there's a lot of really important information that it'd be nice to have in the list view that's a little bit hard to read sometimes. And so there's been a lot of work to redesign how these issue lists are going to look. And so they're going to look a little bit like this, with a better label view, more clearly visible milestones and estimates, and assignees and checks. So this is going to be a really great improvement for people who work in merge requests every single day. So that's it from the plan team. Jason, can you share with us what you're going to be working on with Release and Verify?
Hey, Jason, just jumping in, since I know you just joined. You can share your screen by mousing over the Hangouts and looking for the green screen share button in the upper left-hand corner. You should be able to share your screen that way. Fabio, maybe we should move to you, and then we can maybe come back to Jason in just a little bit.
Absolutely, Jeremy. Thank you
Sounds
for that. Great. So I'm gonna share my screen, and okay, I want to share with you what is new for the Secure team in 11.3. Secure team is the new name of the security products team, but just the same people, same awesome features. That's the new name to adapt to the DevOps lifecycle. This month, we want to release a very good improvement that is showing the security testing results on the environments page. If you look at my screen, you can see these pictures that are preliminary mockups, not the final version, but just to give an idea of that. In the operations environment view, we want to put something related to security. And in specific, we want to add a badge for each environment, so for each deployment that is there in the list, to show to users if security checks were good or not for that specific version. It may seem a very small thing, but it is very important, trust me, because when you are an operations person or a security team person, you are not into the code all the time. And so you probably are more familiar and you go every day in this specific page. And so in just one single view and one single look, you can have an overall idea of the security of all your deployments. So different environments, for example, your staging environment or your production environment. And this is very important because from here, clicking on the badge, you can jump to the very specific report. You can see in case of some red flag, what the flag was for, and so what is affecting your production environment, for example. And from the report, then you can start the process to create a fix and to make it land into production as soon as possible. So this feature is very, very important. And we want to support, as GitLab, the product wants to support not just developers, but also security teams and operations teams. So this is a thing that is going in that specific direction. Okay, so that's what's new in 11.3 for secure. It is in the ultimate feature. It is an ultimate feature, so it will be in ultimate tier. And now I am very, very interested to hear if Jason is able to share something about the very final release. Otherwise, Daniel. Jason, are you there?
I think we're still dealing with some technical problems on Jason's end, so I think we'll go to Daniel.
Alrighty. Thanks, Jeremy. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Okay. So thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Fabio. So let's chat about what the configuration team is going to be working on. The first feature the configuration team will work on is protected environments. So this is a feature that we worked on this past release, but we didn't quite make it to the finish line. So we will work to ship this in 11.3. So protected environments provides the ability to, as the name implies, protect an environment so that the ability to deploy is limited to certain groups or users. So this is important as in sensitive or highly regulated environments, there is oftentimes a clear separation of duties that requires the ability to limit who can deploy to environments, let's say such as a production environment. So this feature will be the first of many to support operators and make them first-class citizens in GitLab. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next feature that I want to chat about is support Kubernetes RBAC for GitLab managed apps. So currently, when you deploy apps to your Kubernetes cluster, we are forcing ABAC, which is attribute-based access control. And with the release of Kubernetes 1.8, RBAC has been made generally available. And because it provides powerful tools to limit authorization permissions within a cluster, it is the preferred way to authenticate. So we want to make sure that we provide the most secure and modern way for our users to manage authentication in their Kubernetes cluster. So with this feature, every app that you deploy to your cluster from GitLab will use RBAC by default. Okay, let's see. Finally, the last three features that I'll be talking about are related. So I'll talk about them as a group. And they have to do with enabling Auto DevOps by default. So back in 11.0, Auto DevOps became generally available, no longer in beta. And as you know, Auto DevOps has not only auto build, but it has things like auto test, auto code quality, SAST, dependency scanning, license management, container scanning, review apps, DAST, auto deploy, browser performance testing, and auto monitoring. So it has this great number of very cool features. And we want as many of our users as possible to take advantage of the great features Auto DevOps has to offer and that are built right into GitLab. So to that end, we will be turning Auto DevOps on by default for both our hosted users on GitLab.com and our self-managed on-prem customers. So at the same time, let me see, this is GitLab.com. At the same time, we are aware that Auto DevOps may not work with your current setup. For example, if you're using a language for which there's no build pack, or if you don't have perhaps an image of your container or things like that. And to address that, the last feature that I want to talk about in this group is automatically disabling Auto DevOps upon first pipeline failure. So if your first Auto DevOps pipeline fails, we will automatically disable Auto DevOps for that project. Now, we are working towards covering as many use cases as we can. So when we do ship new Auto DevOps features, you can simply re-enable Auto DevOps for that project. So you can take advantage of all these awesome features that we have for you. And that'll do it for the configuration team. Let's see. Jason, are you with us by chance?
Thanks a million, Daniel. I think we might go to Fabio. I think Jason is still having a few technical issues. So Fabio, do you think you might be able to speak to Jason's item?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna share my screen again. So for the verify and release team, that is the new name, will be the new name for the CI/CD scope for people that just joined. We are gonna work in 11.3 in a very cool feature. Actually, it is improvement to an existing feature that is the include keyword you can use in your GitLab CI YAML files. This allows you to get external files, for example, HTTP-based files or other files in the same repo, and include them as part of the definition of the job that is composing your pipeline. In this way, you can reuse definitions, you can fetch things from the outside, and this is very important and very powerful. With the current implementation, we have some limitations, and so each single file should be a valid YAML file on its own. This implies that you cannot import a template, for example, a YAML template, because there is no way for the linter to validate the file one by one. Because, for example, the main file that is including the template is referencing a template that is not known to the linter. And so the linter will fail and will give you a stop. With the new approach that we are addressing now, this will be possible. So the linter will be smarter, and it will be able to understand the full file, the full final logic of your pipeline definition, not just file by file. This will allow you, for example, to use YAML templates. That's very, very important, because this can allow you to define a sort of external library of functions that you want to use, and you can also share this library publicly with the community, and the community can contribute. And so this is really awesome, and we want to support this kind of flow. So this is the goal. The technical part will be probably not so impacting users. So users will continue to use include keyword as usual, and that's awesome because it will be backward compatible, but they can benefit of these new powerful functionalities. For this iteration, this feature will be GitLab Starter, because the actual include feature is GitLab Starter. But maybe in the future, it could be worth to consider if we want to change our idea and to move it to core. There is an open discussion that has been going for a long time, so everyone is very, very suggested to collaborate and to show which are the best cases for this feature enhancement. And I think that's all for CI/CD. Oh, sorry, for verify and release. So back to you, Jeremy.
Thanks a lot, Fabio. Let me share my screen here briefly. All right, you should be able to see my screen. So as PM and managed, there's only one item that I want to talk to, and I'll hand over to Andreas, who's been working hard on 2 other issues that are in this category. The issue that I want to talk about is linking existing accounts to credentials when signing in via OAuth. And this is we currently support OAuth authentication in GitLab, and you can use GitLab with a number of OmniAuth providers like Google, for instance. But OAuth is a really great tool to use for managing user credentials. But there's one caveat, and that is that you're unable to, users that already exist on an instance who try to sign in using OAuth currently see an error when they try to sign in using the new provider. And what we want to do is we want to make switching providers and also adding OAuth providers to existing GitLab instances really, really easy and simple. So what this issue does is, if users already exist on a GitLab instance when they try to auth in using OAuth, we just simply link their accounts. So this makes either transitioning OAuth providers and adding OAuth to an existing GitLab instance really, really easy and maintainable for users and admins. So for these other 2 items around group settings and group level project templates, I'm actually going to turn it over to Andreas who's been working really hard on these and leading these initiatives. Andreas, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy. So as mentioned, continuing with Manage, I want to kick off the upcoming 11.3 release by highlighting two really cool features that improve the usability of our settings pages on the one hand and working with large project structures on the other side. So starting with the settings pages. So in previous releases, we already improved the usability of our settings across the applications. So we have project settings, which can be quite complex, group settings, which are a bit shorter, and the admin area for GitLab admins. And one enhancement we did is moving all the settings into individual sections. So these are now expandable and collapsible depending on what you're looking for. One downside of that was that you at least now take one click more if you want to navigate to the settings you're looking for. Of course, if you know what you are actually looking for. So our UX-driven idea that we have here is that we want to analyze which settings are actually the most relevant and most frequently visited by our users, so we can actually expose them immediately when clicking on the settings page. So showing here, this is basically the high-level UX paradigm, I would say, we want to achieve. So we typically show large settings sections still as is, but the most relevant settings should be exposed immediately. So the content is immediately available to users. So we are starting with group settings in this iteration, basically just because it's our shorting settings page and it's very obvious what are the most relevant settings. While for projects and the admin area, we have upcoming UX research that will help us figuring out and nailing what are the really relevant and most frequently visited settings so we can expose those immediately. So navigating to a visual design that Matej created here, this will be for the group settings, the settings page you see when you navigate on that page. So we restructure while doing that a couple of those sections, and for the groups, most important are our general settings for the naming, but also the group visibility. So that will be the settings sections that is immediately available when navigating there. As said, the same is planned for projects in the admin area, and this will be upcoming subsequent milestones. So it's not too far away to improve that as well. And this is a core feature. So next up are group level project templates. So on 11.2, which is coming up in August 22nd, so this month, we are having a first iteration for instance level project templates. So this allows administrators basically to define an arbitrary group on your instance that has the source of all project templates that will be available to your users throughout your installation. And in this next iteration, which is especially relevant, not only for GitLab.com, a very large instance of GitLab, obviously, but also other very project and group heavy structures, will be group level project templates. So besides being able to define a group that serves as template source on the instance level, you will also be able to select a subgroup in any group setting in the future. So those templates that are displayed in this group are then available on a group level. To make that a bit more specific, we can see the visual designs here. So that would be on the actual create project page. The differentiation, you can already see that there's a tab when you navigate to create from template that separates our built-in templates that we are shipping since quite some time already, instance level templates, and the new group level templates. So that really allows you to set up template structures depending on your specific needs in your group. In addition, there's a small visual design. So this is the corresponding idea how to set up those group templates. In the group settings, there will be a new section that allows you to just select any subgroup of the current group you're on, which will serve as the source of those templates. That's it for Manage. So next up is James, again, this time with Create.
Thanks, Andreas. I am so excited for project templates. I will quickly share my screen again. And I have templates to talk about as well, but file templates. So we have a great feature in GitLab at the moment, which allows you to create files in a repository based on templates that GitLab ships out of the box. So common Docker files, gitignore files, We've got some great CI YAML templates and licenses for all the common permissive licenses. So there's a lot of organizations that might want to use these templates in all their projects, but maybe a slightly customized version. And at the moment, to do that, every time they create a new project, they have to update the template manually. And this is an error-prone and repetitive process. So it's a really exciting feature that we're bringing in 11.3 to Premium, the ability to select a repository anywhere on your instance and make that the instance-level template repository. And that will provide a range of custom templates. And so these will appear in the file template dropdown as usual, and you'll have your instance-specific templates as well as the general ones that GitLab ships out of the box. So this is a very exciting improvement, and we hope to improve it in coming releases with support for group-level template repositories, which will also be incredibly useful for more specific templates. And we also want to bring these file templates to the Web IDE. The Web IDE is a great way to edit and get started on a project, and we want to implement support for them here. So we'll be adding drop-downs so that you can quickly select a template and apply it to the file. So this is going to be a really great improvement as we continue to improve templating capabilities in GitLab. And this will be coming to Community Edition. Next up, I'd like to share with you about some really exciting work that's happening around code owners. Code owners is a really clever file format that allows you to describe who is the person who's which people are most interested in these files, and making sure that they are always included in a review. And it uses the Git attributes file format, where you specify a pattern and a user or multiple users. And so a star would be any file. So if you just changed any file, user 1 would automatically be a code owner for that. But more specific rules take precedence. So you can specify specific directories and who's interested in those, and even specific file types or combinations of directories and file types. So there's all sorts of options. And in the first iteration, we'll be integrating this into the blob view. So when you view a file in GitLab, you'll see who the code owners are. In future, we're going to roll this out to merge requests and suggest the relevant approvers and automatically assign them even. But this is our first step. We take an iterative approach at GitLab. And so this is the first way we're bringing code owners into GitLab. And I think it's going to be really great. And this will be in GitLab Starter. Another improvement coming to approvals and merge requests is the ability to enable self-approval of merge requests at the project level. So often, well, the way it works currently is that it's sort of assumed that if you create a merge request that you approve it implicitly, but that's not always the case. It might be a release branch rather than a feature branch, and you've just automatically accumulated a bunch of commits and you haven't actually reviewed them yet. You plan to do that in the merge request. Or someone else adds a change to the merge request that you didn't author. So there could be multiple people contributing to the one branch. And so assuming that the author of the merge request approves it doesn't necessarily hold true. So we're going to be adding this option and making some changes to the way we calculate the number of approvals. And this is a really exciting change for teams that need this feature. Next up, we're going to give wikis a bit of attention and improve the way we handle file uploads into wikis. At the moment, if you upload images or attachments to a wiki, they get stored in the uploads directory, which is outside of the repository. And this is a bit of a problem if you try and check out your wiki locally and try and render it, because the images aren't in the repository, so you don't have access to them, you can't preview them, you'll just have dead links. And similarly, if you want to clone your wiki repository onto a different server, it's also incomplete. So we really want to improve this, and we're going to do that by adding support to the web editor for wikis so that it'll automatically upload the attachment or the image or the file into the uploads directory inside the repository. And in an upcoming iteration, we'll also be adding support for LFS, because if you're uploading images, those are binary assets, and they probably belong best in LFS for performance reasons. So this will be really great for customers who make heavy use of wikis And this is, of course, in Community Edition. And finally, a really exciting milestone coming in 11.3 is Gitaly version 1.0. We've been working on Gitaly for a long, long time, and it removes our dependency on NFS. And the 1.0 milestone is about migrating all of our Git operations that we use for the GitLab.com instance into Gitaly, and turning on all the optional feature flags so that there'll be no more direct access to the NFS storage for Git repositories on GitLab.com. So this is really huge for GitLab.com. It's also really huge for self-hosted customers because it means that Gitaly is getting very complete. And in 1.1, which will be coming out very shortly, we'll be removing large amounts of all the old Git code inside of the Ruby application, and everyone will be using Gitaly for all Git operations. So huge congratulations to the team for this milestone, and fingers crossed it all goes to plan. And you can read more about the Gitaly project at gitlab.com, gitlab-org/Gitaly, and learn a bit more about, I guess, the architecture of this important part of how GitLab works. Not sure who's next. Josh, you're up.
Yeah. Thanks, James. That's all really exciting. I can't wait for Gitaly 1.0 and all the future enhancements to come there now that we have that as a base. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And we can talk about all the amazing things coming to monitoring. So hopefully that's coming through. And so we've got a couple items here for monitoring to discuss. One of them is that this release, or the release that is now just about to ship, 11.2, we included a new alerting feature, SLI alerts, for any kind of custom metrics that you have. So for example, if you're trying to keep track of, say, how much checkouts you have, or carts or credit card processing numbers, and you wanted to have some alerts in case, say your credit card processing errors exceed a certain percentage, you can get those alerts now, set them in GitLab easily, and receive email notifications in case any of those trips. We've now also working to add that to our kind of out-of-the-box default metrics that we also provide for people. This is very common metrics like throughput, response rate, latency with the Nginx Ingress services. Also things like CPU and memory consumption through Kubernetes pod resources. And so you can now be able to set alerts on these kind of, again, out-of-the-box alerts as well, not just ones that you set yourself as well. So super exciting there to kind of round out our alerting feature. We're also making further improvements to the user experience as well. So this is the user experience you see today for adding an alert, and we'll be adding this, of course, to also things like, again, Nginx Ingress. But we also want to go ahead a step further, and for all of our alerts now, show the thresholds on the screen. And so, for example, if you wanted to have an alert configured for, say, 0.5% of the traffic having an error, you can go through and set this here, and you'll see the actual bar on the screen where that is and what that alert was set to. And so some nice kind of feedback there to understand what alerts are tripping, kind of how far above you are the threshold, and just get some more visual feedback of those. So that's all very exciting there on the alerting side. We're also working to improve just some of the general UX fixes, a couple of things here and there, in particular with canary charts that perhaps can come and go, and can lead to a couple undesirable UX scenarios in those cases. So we're getting those cleaned up in this release as well, which is also very exciting. So great things to come there on the monitoring side, in particular with alerts. We're also working on a couple items here for distribution as well. With kind of our past release, one big item here is that we're going GA with our Helm chart. And so we're kind of heads down right now and making sure we deliver that later this month. And later, our next release here for next month, we'll be working on handling feedback, supporting our customers who are using it, and then some of the improvements along the way that we have noted there in the issue list. That's kind of our general list of improvements, but you can see those, and we'll be working to get those, as well as any items, again, that we find as we approach release here. So very, very excited about that. Definitely give it a try. It's a great way to deploy GitLab on Kubernetes. And GitLab in general is just amazing itself on Kubernetes. So can't wait to get that out and make that GA. We're also making it easier to confirm and get an idea of what open source components that we use here at GitLab. We currently package this actually a file along with all of our packages, right? So whenever you download a package at GitLab, you already have the list available in that package itself. But to make it easier to consume, easier to access, we're going to go ahead and make that available online to download and to view, and have it automatically be updated as well. So that'd be very nice to have that maintained for some of our customers who are interested in that without going and surfing through the packages. Clearly, this is the best release ever. We've actually managed to go longer than the half an hour we've allotted, so apologies for that. But clearly, we couldn't fit all the amazing things that are in this release into half an hour. I can't wait for things like RBAC for Kubernetes applications and Auto DevOps. That's going to be amazing. The code owners file and the multiple includes, and particularly the improved parsing, is also amazing. I know I've run into that a couple of times, wanting to have job templates in one file and pulling them into a different CI file. So can't wait for that. I personally, as soon as it's out, will start taking advantage of it. Again, batch comments are premium, project templates, instance templates, amazing things there, enhancements to the web ID for templates in general. And of course, also things like Ultimate with epics that you can now tie to milestones and so you don't have to update dates anymore is also super amazing. And so I can't wait for that. We use those, of course, here at GitLab. And that'll make, I think, all of the PM's lives here much better. So this is an amazing release. Can't wait to have it ship here next month. And thanks for watching. And we hope you are as excited as we are. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.